What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian, as the NBA season has finally concluded. That's right, the NBA Finals wrapped up last night. The Thunder take home the chip. We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end, but we get to start with more pressing issues as we've got massive trades and massive landscape shifts, specifically in the Eastern Conference. But before we dive into any of that, do me a favor, if this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button and make sure you knock down that little notification bell so you know the next time we're dropping that sweet Celtics content. Let's go. Kevin Durant is finally on the move. Now, for you Celtics Daily real ones who have been tuning in over the last couple of weeks, one of the things that we continued to talk about with the Kevin Durant trade rumors was this whole idea of leverage. And one of the issues the Phoenix Suns ran into is in February, without talking to Kevin Durant, tried to move him. Then KD got wind of it and was like, what the heck? That's not why I didn't know that's what we were doing. So now heading into this offseason, both Kevin Durant's side and the Phoenix Suns and the rest of the NBA all knew that KD was going to be on the move. So what did that do? Well, it put his trade value into the toilet. We were talking about how back in February, KD was whispering around with his team about how he was potentially interested in Boston. And then the Celtics actually emerged as one of the wild card suitors this offseason, but ultimately, it didn't go there, but when we think about what the Phoenix Suns actually got in return for Kevin Durant, it kind of makes me think maybe they actually had a real shot at getting him. So ready, here we go. The Houston Rockets acquire KD. So KD's going to fit in just perfectly with somebody with the roster that they have right now, because that is something that they were missing so desperately, was just some off the dribble scoring. Somebody in the fourth quarter when they get to crunch time to go get a bucket. Now, just to lay this out here, Houston owns a couple of Phoenix's first round picks over the next couple of years, right? They also have all of these young assets that barely play. We're talking about Reed Shepherd, who was the number 2 pick in the entire freaking draft last season. Cam Whitmore, Tyree Eason, right? They've got this plethora of young guys that would make a ton of sense going back to the Phoenix Suns, who clearly are in a rebuild-ish mode. But this is what they ended up getting. The number 10th overall pick in this upcoming draft, which is fine. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and then a handful of second-round picks in the future. That's it. The Rockets were able to maintain Jabari Smith Jr., who was rumored to be in the trades, right? They were able to maintain all of those young guys that we're talking about and those picks. So Phoenix can't even tank next season because they don't own their first round pick. The Memphis Grizzlies do, because it was that pick that was swapped for the Desmond Bane trade, and they can't take the following year either. So now they've got Devin Booker, they've got Jalen Green, and Bradley Beal. A ton of guys who on paper can score the bucket and on the court can't defend the bucket. So it is so wild to think about this being the full return for KD. I know KD is 37. I know people have issues with Kevin Durant, like specifically that staged announcement yesterday while he was at Fanatics Fest. It was one of the most fabricated things I've ever seen in my life, but whatever. But KD is still an elite top 15, top 20, top 15 if he's healthy, right? If you look at the Suns' record last season, they were actually above 500 with KD, and they were like 4-17 without him or something crazy like that. So KD to Houston, who was already the number 2 seed, they're most likely renegotiating Fred VanVleet's option, right? So you're going to have Fred VanVleet, you're going to have Amin Thompson, who looked like their best player down for some stretches. They kept Jabari Smith Jr., they kept KD, they've got Sengun, they've got those young guys, and they still have the opportunity to make another move if they wanted to. So all of a sudden, Houston got scary good heading into next year. But the reason I bring this up is because some of the other deals that were being floated around there, Miami Heat, who supposedly were interested in KD, weren't offering Jaime Jaquez, who, if you remember, Spoelstra wasn't even playing last season. They weren't offering Haywood Highsmith, who a lot of you probably have to Google right now. Like, none of the players were actually in these deals. Like, there was just no value for KD. They were talking about Minnesota. Clearly, that package would have been way better. That didn't happen. The Knicks rumors. And now that brings me back to the Celtics rumors. And if you guys remember, we talked about it last week, but there were some Phoenix officials were kicking the tires on Porzingis to kind of see what he had in him, I guess. So there is a world where, like, Porzingis, maybe Sam Hauser, and some picks would have been a better return than what they got from the Rockets just now. So I do think there was like a realistic chance that KD could have come over to the East. And it just makes me think like, man, we are in this new era of the NBA where it's going to be very hard to move some of these contracts around. And it's just like we have to kind of recalibrate what trade value even is. And it makes me think as we head into this offseason, like, are the Celtics actually in a different spot than we initially thought they were? Like, yes, of course, of course, Tatum is going to be out. We know they have to do some financial chicanery, if you will. But there's a chance they're still going to be able to compete. And here's why. I don't know how many people paid attention to game 7 last night. Maybe you're just a Celtics truther and you're like, I don't need to watch any other hoops. But last night, Tyrese Hallebert, who was playing with a calf strain the last couple of days, just kind of tries to do a up fake and then come back into the paint, and his Achilles just it hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but every replay showed it to you that it's the same injury that Tatum had. It's the same injury that Damian Lillard had. So that's 3 guys in this postseason who tore an Achilles. 3 guys who wear number 0 this postseason that torn their Achilles. Now, I don't know if you guys watched the rehearsal on HBO, but season 1, insert the numbers guy right there. 3 guys wearing 0, all torn Achilles. Really makes me wonder, like, do we need some sort of sports science study here to just, why is this happening more frequently? I think the torn Achilles, and maybe this is recency bias, but the torn Achilles seem to be something that happened, to older players typically, and really not this frequent. And I mean, the Indiana Pacers themselves, right? They had Halliburton. They also had their backup big men from earlier in the season. Both James Wiseman and Isaiah Jackson had torn Achilles. That's 3 torn Achilles in one freaking team. But it does make you wonder, like, can we look at this a little bit? Like, do training staffs, is this because of load management? Is it because we're not doing load management? Like, can we just have some sort of study as to why this is happening more frequently? And, the Pacers were just off a magical playoff run, right? They were awesome. But now with this Halliburton injury, he's going to be out for the season. Who's good in the Eastern Conference? You have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who, again, they had a historic regular season and then just got bounced by said Indiana Pacers in the second round, right? The Celtics now, you're looking around the East. You've got the New York Knicks, who they cannot find a coach. They still don't have a coach. It's June 23rd. The draft is on Wednesday. They do not have a coach yet. So you've got the Knicks, who I guess you're thinking about Cavs for sure. You have the Orlando Magic, who just made that blockbuster trade last week to go get the one missing piece that they needed in shooting, but there's still a young team who is yet to win a freaking playoff series, right? 2 first-round exits back-to-back seasons. You have the Milwaukee Bucks, who have not moved off Giannis Antetokounmpo. However, you look at the rest of the roster, it's like the corpse of Brook Lopez, Kevin Porter Jr. somehow is important to this team, Kyle Kuzma, like who the Atlanta Hawks now a threat in the East? You have the Miami Heat, who we saw who the Miami Heat are. Unless Khalil Ware all of a sudden turns into a Hakeem Olajuwon that can shoot 3-pointers, Miami is going to be a dumpster fire next year. Like, we might be at the point where the Charlotte Hornets are an Eastern Conference playoff team. So I say all of that to say that if they somehow, let's assume they move off of Drew Holiday, Porzingis is here, just for the sake of the conversation, Drew's gone. If they're running out JB, they still got KP. I don't know what's going to happen with Al or Luke, but Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Baylor Shireman, Sam Hauser maybe still there. I don't know, right? That Celtics team is like a top 4 team in the East. I'm refusing to put any respect or any credibility on the Philadelphia 76ers until I see Joel Embiid play more than 40 games, and we haven't seen that what feels like in 10 years. So I don't know. I wonder if Brad Stevens and the Celtics organization, like, do you switch your mindset a little bit? Is this an opportunity for you to be like, okay, listen, we're not going to be the title favorites, because if you still look at the Western Conference, Oklahoma City, like, yeah, they are the champions right now. They're only getting better next year, injuries aside. Houston Rockets just added KD. You've got a healthy season of the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and company. You've got the Denver Nuggets, who are coming back, who they just took the champs to a 7-game series. The Clippers, are they going to make any moves? You've got a full season of LA Luka, who now they have new ownership. The Celtics sold for almost $7 billion. And the Lakers, in the same season, the 2 most historic franchises in basketball, both sell in like 6 months. And the Lakers go all the way up to $10 freaking billion. Now, Jeannie Buss supposedly is still going to be like running the day-to-day operations for the Lakers, but Wick Grossbeck in a similar thing, right? He sold the Celtics, but still technically is there. Let's see what that actually looks like. But man, to see both of those franchises get sold in a short amount of time. But the Lakers are going to be spending a little bit more money, so like the West is so loaded. But you look at the Eastern Conference, and I do think there is a real opportunity for this Celtics team to just to hang around and maybe have an opportunity to, host a playoff series, which is crazy because a couple of weeks ago we would say absolutely not. But again, like let's put the Cavs in front of them. Let's put the Knicks in front of them. And then the Magic, I guess. I would take the Celtics over everybody else. However, this makes me, as we like head into draft week here, this does make me wonder, are we going to see another Eastern Conference team like Atlanta or Chicago, maybe Miami, even Boston, though, honestly, like, are they going to see this as an opportunity that be like, hey, listen, we're not going to have a shot at going to the NBA championship, but all of a sudden we get to inject some life into our fan base, being like, hey, we could win a playoff series here. And so I wonder if we see some more Eastern Conference moves being like, hey, this is an opportunity to win a couple of rounds. And so as we head into the draft week, which, as I said earlier, is on Wednesday, the Celtics rumors are continuing to swirl. Like, are they going to move picks 28 and 32 or one of the two, along with the player or future assets, to try to move up? There's rumors they want to go after Sorber, the Georgetown guy, which would be a pretty big jump. Or is it just up a little bit for Cockbrenner from Creighton? Like, I don't know. It's Brad Stevens is in such an interesting place. And again, this is so fascinating with new ownership. Like when the Grossbecks were running the Celtics, we had a pretty good feel of how they approach things each and every offseason. This is the very first one where are they going to be pocketbook watching and seeing how much money they're spending? Or are they going to be like, hey, let's go. Let's go. This is our first year in charge of this team. Let's show our fans that we still want to put a winning product out there year in and year out, obviously while being financially responsible. You don't want a roster that's going to second round playoff max that's going to spend $270 million just in luxury tax alone. But it does make for a very interesting week because now this Drew Holiday potential trade, if you're looking to get another pick back or another asset back, it becomes a little bit more intriguing now. Because I'll be honest, the way that I was looking at a lot of these Drew and KP trade ideas was just like, this is a stopgap year. Just kind of, survive this season, maybe get another good pick. Let's get under the second apron, right? Under the tax. But now I feel like these trades are far more intriguing, where just getting a role player back for somebody like Drew Holiday could prove to be very important. Again, I think our expectations should be way lower, but sometimes in those scenarios, it becomes even more fun to root for those teams, right? Where you're like, okay, we're the underdog here. We're not supposed to be, we're not the favorite. We're not the favorite. The fact that we got into the second round is going to feel like a miracle. I feel like those could be fun, but a lot of drama heading into this season, this offseason, excuse me, which, again, I'm not used to being in this position as a Boston Celtics fan, but I feel like it's going to get weirder before it gets more normal. And I don't think the Celtics are going to be the only team getting involved. I think you're going to see a lot of Eastern Conference teams being like, hey, maybe it's time we throw a dart, huh? Let's put a pin on this NBA season, but before we do that, make sure if you've been here this long already, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. It's good for the brain algorithm. It's good for the YouTube algorithm. It helps us out, and it's been fun. We've only started this channel like a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago, and we're just cruising, right? Slowly picking up subs. Let's get us up over 500, then up to 1,000, then up to 1,000,000. But I do appreciate you guys all hanging out, and I also appreciate what we saw from the Oklahoma City Thunder last night. Again, if you are just a Celtics fan and you're like, whatever, I didn't really care too much about the NBA Finals, that was 7 games of fun. It was a little disappointing to get punched in the stomach right away to see Hallebert get knocked out and kind of change the complexion of the game. But that was an incredible series. Oklahoma City Thunder, they were the best team in the league from start to finish. They get their first title in franchise history. SGA, I believe the first guy since Jordan, I think. That might be incorrect, but I think it's since Jordan to win the scoring title, the MVP, and the Finals MVP. Now I'm nervous it's not Jordan. It might have been Kobe or something. But he was also a 30-point scorer in the regular season and in the Finals. Shea was incredible. They kept it a little bit more interesting than I thought they were after Halliburton went down. TJ McConnell was like insane. And the Pacers run was magical. It would have been cool to see the Celtics have a shot at this Thunder team. They played some incredible regular season matchups. I do think the Celtics, if healthy, matched up well against them. But when OKC is on, man, I haven't seen a defense like that since the '04 Pistons. Just the way they were swarming around. It was just really, really impressive stuff. So congrats to the Thunder. Congrats to the Pacers on a good run. That was a fun postseason, even though it didn't go the way that the Celtics fans assumed it would go. Still a fun one. Still a fun one. But that's going to do it for me. We'll be back tomorrow and every day because that's, it's called the Celtics Daily. That's what we got to do. But make sure you hit the like and the subscribe on the way out. Thanks for watching.